Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This truly a pleasure to be here with all of you today. I want to talk to you about one of the most critical issues that we all face in our lives, the issue of fear and how it can hold us back from achieving our greatest potential. You see, fear is a natural human emotion. It's something that we all experience to some degree or another. But the key is not to let that fear control us, not to let it dictate the course of our lives. Because when we allow fear to make our decisions for us, when we let fear decide our future, we are selling ourselves short. We are denying ourselves the opportunity to live life to the fullest, to reach the heights that we are truly capable of reaching. And my friends, I'm here to tell you today that you are all capable of so much more than you can even imagine. Each and every one of you has within you the seeds of greatness. You have the ability to achieve amazing things, to make a profound difference in the world, to live a life that is truly fulfilling and rewarding. But in order to do that, in order to unlock that potential, you have to be willing to confront your fears. You have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, to take risks, to venture into the unknown. Because the truth is, the path to success, the path to fulfillment, is never a straight and easy one. It's filled with challenges, with obstacles, with moments of uncertainty and doubt. And that's where fear comes in. Fear is the voice inside our heads that tells us we can't do it, that it's too hard, that we're not good enough. Fear is the reason why so many people never even try to pursue their dreams, why they settle for a life that is less than what they truly want. But I'm here to tell you today that you don't have to listen to that voice of fear. You have the power to silence it, to overcome it, to use it as fuel to propel you forward instead of holding you back. How do you do that, you ask? Well, the first step is to understand that fear is not your enemy. It's not something to be afraid of or to try to eliminate completely. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, and it serves an important purpose. It's a way for our brain to protect us from danger, to keep us safe. The problem arises when we let fear control us, when we let it dictate our actions and our decisions. When we do that, we end up living a life that is small, that is limited, that is far from the life that we truly want. But when we learn to harness fear, when we learn to use it as a tool to propel us forward, that's when we start to unlock our true potential. That's when we start to see the incredible things that we are capable of achieving. And that, my friends, is what I want to talk to you about today. I want to share with you some strategies, some techniques, some mindsets that you can use to overcome your fears and to start living the life that you were meant to live. The first thing that I want to talk about is the power of positive thinking. You see, so much of our fear is rooted in the way that we think about ourselves and our abilities. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not capable enough to achieve our dreams. But the truth is, those are just stories that we've been telling ourselves. They're not the truth. And when we start to challenge those negative beliefs, when we start to replace them with more positive and empowering thoughts, that's when we start to see a real shift in our mindset and in our behavior. I'm reminded of a story that I heard a while back about a young man who was trying to start his own business. He had a great idea, he had the skills and the knowledge to make it work, but he was paralyzed by fear. He was afraid of failing, afraid of what people would think, afraid of not being able to make it work. But then one day he had a breakthrough. He realized that the only thing holding him back was his own negative self-talk, his own doubts and fears. So he made a conscious decision to start replacing those negative thoughts with more positive and empowering ones. Instead of telling himself that he couldn't do it, he started telling himself that he could. Instead of focusing on all the things that could go wrong, he started focusing on all the things that could go right. And you know what happened? He ended up launching a successful business that has now been thriving for years. And that's the power of positive thinking, my friends. When we start to shift our mindset, when we start to believe in ourselves and our abilities, that's when we start to see the impossible become possible. But of course, positive thinking is just the first step. The next thing that I want to talk about is the importance of taking action. Because at the end of the day, no matter how positive and empowered we feel, if we don't actually take the steps to make our dreams a reality, then we're just spinning our wheels. And I know that this can be scary, believe me. I've been there myself. I remember when I first started my own business, I was terrified. I was afraid of failing, afraid of what people would think, afraid of not being able to make it work. But you know what I did? I took a deep breath and I took the first step. And then the next step and the next step and slowly but surely I started to build momentum. I started to see progress, and that just fueled me to keep going. And that's the thing about taking action, my friends. It's not easy, and it's not always comfortable, but it's the only way to overcome our fears and to start living the life that we truly want. Think about it this way. If you were afraid of heights and you wanted to overcome that fear, would you just sit at home and think positive thoughts about it? No, of course not. You'd actually have to go out and do something about it. You'd have to start small, maybe by standing on a step stool, and then gradually work your way up to taller and taller heights. The same principle applies to any fear that we're trying to overcome. We have to be willing to take action, to step outside of our comfort zone, to do the things that scare us the most, because that's the only way that we're going to grow, that we're going to evolve, that we're going to become the best version of ourselves. And you know what else? When we start to take action, even in the face of our fears, something incredible happens. We start to build confidence. We start to build self-esteem. We start to see ourselves in a whole new light. Because the truth is, when we face our fears and overcome them, we realize that we're stronger than we ever imagined. We realize that we have the power to create the life that we want, to achieve the things that we once thought were impossible. And that, my friends, is the real key to unlocking our potential. It's not about being fearless. It's about being courageous. It's about being willing to take risks, to step outside of our comfort zones, to do the things that scare us the most. Because when we do that, when we start to live our lives in that way, that's when we start to see the incredible things that we're capable of. That's when we start to see the doors of opportunity opening up, the doors that were once closed to us. And that's why I'm so passionate about this topic, my friends, because I know that each and every one of you has the potential to achieve amazing things. I know that you all have the power within you to overcome your fears and to create the life that you truly want. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to take willingness to step out of your comfort zone and to face your fears head on. But I'm here to tell you that it's worth it. It's worth it because the alternative, living a life that is small, that is limited, that is far from the life that you truly want, that's not a life at all. That's just existing. And that's not what you were put on this earth to do. You were put on this earth to thrive, to grow, to make a difference. And in order to do that, you have to be willing to confront your fears, to overcome them, and to use them as fuel to propel you forward. So let me ask you a question. What is the one thing that you've been wanting to do? The one thing that you've been too afraid to try? What is the dream that you've been keeping locked away, the one that you've been too scared to pursue? I want you to take a moment and really think about that, because I can guarantee you that the thing that you're most afraid of, the thing that's holding you back the most, is the very thing that has the potential to change your life in the most amazing way. And I know that it's scary, I know that it's challenging, but I also know that you have what it takes to make it happen. You have the strength, the resilience, the determination to overcome your fears and to start living the life that you truly want. So I want you to make a decision today, right here, right now. I want you to decide that you're going to stop letting your fears dictate your future, that you're going to start taking action, that you're going to start pursuing your dreams. And I know that it's not going to be easy, but I also know that it's going to be worth it. Because when you start to see the incredible things that you're capable of, when you start to experience the joy and the fulfillment that comes from living a life that is true to your values and your passions, that's when you realize that the risk was worth it. That's when you'll realize that the fear that you were once so paralyzed by was actually the catalyst for the greatest transformation of your life. That's when you realize that the only thing that was standing in your way was the voice of fear that you had been listening to for far too long. You see, the thing about fear is that it's not just a mental or emotional obstacle. It's also a physical one. When we're faced with something that scares us, our bodies go into a state of heightened arousal with our heart rate increasing, our muscles tensing, and our senses becoming more acute. This is our natural fight or flight response, designed to help us survive in the face of danger. But the problem is, in our modern world, we often find ourselves facing fears that aren't life-threatening. Things like public speaking, starting a new business, or putting ourselves out there socially. And when we experience that same physiological response, it can be paralyzing. We feel like we're going to freeze up, or that we're going to make a mistake, or that we're going to be judged and rejected by others. And that's where the power of physical mastery comes in. You see, when we learn to control and channel our physical responses to fear, we can start to take back control of our emotions and our thought patterns. We can start to see fear as something to be embraced rather than something to be avoided. One of the most powerful techniques for doing this is through the practice of deep breathing. When we're feeling fearful, our breathing tends to become shallow and rapid, which only serves to heighten our anxiety. But when we take the time to slow down our breathing, to take deep, slow breaths from our diaphragm, we can actually trigger the body's relaxation response. This in turn helps to calm our mind and our emotions, allowing us to approach the situation with a greater sense of clarity and composure. And the more we practice this, the more we start to see it as a natural and automatic response to fear, rather than something that we have to consciously think about. But deep breathing is just one tool in the toolbox. Another powerful strategy is to engage in regular physical exercise. When we move our bodies, we not only release endorphins that boost our mood and our energy levels, but we also learn to become more comfortable with the sensations of physical discomfort and challenge. Think about it. When you're working out, your heart is racing, your muscles are burning, and you're pushing yourself to your limits. And yet you keep going because you know that the discomfort is temporary and that the benefits far outweigh the pain. Well, the same principle applies to our fears. When we learn to embrace the physical sensations of fear, to see them as a sign that we're growing and expanding our comfort zones, we start to develop a greater sense of resilience and self-confidence. And that, my friends, is where the real magic happens. Because when we start to see fear as something to be conquered, rather than something to be avoided, we open ourselves up to a whole new world of possibilities. We start to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, and we become more willing to take risks and step outside of our comfort zones. And the more we do this, the more we start to see our fears diminish, and our sense of empowerment and self-belief start to grow. It's like a positive feedback loop, where each time we face our fears and come out on the other side, we become stronger, more confident, and more capable of taking on even greater challenges. But of course, it's not just about the physical aspects of fear. There's also a vital mental and emotional component that we need to address. Because at the end of the day, fear is not just a physical response. It's also a story that we tell ourselves, a narrative that we've been playing on repeat in our minds for years. And that's why it's so important to work on our self-talk, to challenge the negative beliefs and limiting thoughts that are holding us back. Because when we start to replace those unhelpful narratives with more empowering ones, when we start to see ourselves as capable, confident, and worthy of success, that's when we truly start to unlock our full potential. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through the practice of visualization. So when we take the time to vividly imagine ourselves successfully overcoming our fears and achieving our goals, we're not just daydreaming, we're actually programming our subconscious mind to believe that it's possible. And the more we do this, the more we start to see those visualizations become a reality. It's like we're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where our thoughts and beliefs shape our actions and our outcomes. But of course, visualization is just one tool in the toolkit. Another powerful strategy is to seek out support and encouragement from others. When we surround ourselves with people who believe in us, who see our potential, and who are willing to challenge us and push us outside of our comfort zones, it can be an incredibly transformative experience. Think about it. When you have someone in your corner cheering you on and believing in you, it can make all the difference in the world. It can give you the courage and the confidence to take that first step to try that thing that you've been too scared to attempt. And the great thing is you don't have to go it alone. There are so many amazing resources out there, from mentors and coaches to support groups and online communities, that can help you to overcome your fears and start living the life that you truly want. So my friends, I hope that you're starting to see just how powerful and transformative this journey can be, because when you make the decision to confront your fears and start living with more courage and conviction, the possibilities are truly endless. But of course, I know that it's not always easy. I know that there are going to be setbacks, there are going to be moments of doubt and uncertainty, and that's okay. That's all part of the process. The key is to remember that fear is not your enemy. It's simply a natural human response that you can learn to harness and use to your advantage. And with the right mindset, the right tools, and the right support, you can absolutely overcome your fears and start to live the life that you were born to live. So what are you waiting for? Take that first step, my friend. Start small if you need to, but start moving forward. And know that I'm here with you every step of the way, cheering you on and believing in your incredible potential. Together, we're going to break down those barriers. We're going to shatter those limiting beliefs, and we're going to create the life that you've been dreaming of. Are you ready? Let's do this. Thank you and God bless.